श्रीमान् वेंकटनाथार्य कवितार्किककेसरी वेदांताचार्यवर्यो मे सन्निधत्तां सदाकृति श्रीवासरङ्गपरकालमुनित्रयाप्तलक्ष्मात्मरक्षणयतित्युगागमान्तम् आचार्यभक्तिपरिपूतमनर्गशीलं गोपालदेशिकमुनिं गुरुमाश्रयामः। यत्पदाम्बोरुहध्यानविध्वस्ताशेषकल्मषः वस्तुतामुपयातोऽहं यामुनेयं नमामि तं। स्वादयन्निह सर्वेषां त्रय्यन्तात्रं सुदुर्ग्रहं स्तोत्रयामास योगीन्द्रः तं वन्दे यामुनाह्वयं। नमो नमो यामुनाय यामुनाय नमो नमः। नमो नमो यामुनाय यामुनाय नमो नमः. So this is the most beautiful day, especially after reciting Thiruvazhumozhi Agalagille Niraimendre. It is Adiyan's Bhagyam to be part of this Gitartha Sangraham talk. So it's the most appropriate thing. And Swami Emperumanar dedicates a sloka for this. He says, Yatpadamboruhadhyana vidvasta shashakalmashaha vastutam upayatoham yamuneyam namamitam. I pray to Yamunacharya, I worship Yamunacharya, because of whose daya all my defects, all my papams have been removed, and I have become an identifiable worthy object, an object of worthiness. Previously I was just asat, and now I have been made to realize by Swami that I am the sat. Vastutam, he has made me an object of worthiness after meditating on the glorious lotus feet of Yamunacharya. Yamunacharya has packed the entire Gita, 700 plus slokams, in just 32 slokams. And Swami has so beautifully narrated these 32 slokams in such a way that it gives the entire summary of the Bhagavad Gita. In fact, Swami mentions that he has learnt it from Rama Mishra, who is Manakkal Nambi, this Gita Sastram. And the Gita Sastram, Manakkal Nambi had heard from Uyyakondar, Pundarikaksha. And Uyyakondar must have heard from Sriman Nathamunigal, who is Yamunacharya's grandfather. So beautifully Swami has packed in 32 verses the entire Bhagavad Gita. In fact, the first slokam itself is the summary of the entire Bhagavad Gita. It is the essence of the Gita. And the second slokam, where he talks about the first 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, called first Shadgam. The first Shadgam is mentioned in the second sloka of Gitartha Sangraham. The third sloka talks about the second 6 of the Bhagavad Gita. So the first 6 talks about Karma Jnana Yogam. The second 6 talks about the Bhakti Yogam. And the third 6, which is the third Shadgam, which is in the fourth sloka of Gitartha Sangraham, where he mentions in 2 parts the first 3 chapters, which is 13, 14, 15 and 16, 17, 18. So he has given so beautifully the entire 18 chapters in 3 slokams, the first 6, second 6 and the third 6. So he covers 1, 2, 3, 4 the entire Bhagavad Gita. First slokam, the whole summary, second, third, fourth, 6, 6, 6. And then from the 5th slokam onwards, for 18 chapters, he talks about 18 slokas. He blesses us with 18 slokas, each sloka giving the essence of each chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And Swami again reinforces what he had talked about in the remaining slokas to give kind of a gentle reminder or reinforcing what he had said before. So we will have series of lectures we can have on this Gitartha Sangraham alone. which gives an enjoyment of Krishna's most brilliant composition, which is Bhagavad Gita. And in fact, Bhagavad Gita itself is Krishna's Dhyai, I would say. Because Bhagavan performed, because of the Parama Ragasyam of this Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, taking that as a pretext, because Arjuna was only an excuse in Kurukshetra battle. He blessed us with the Sri Sukti called the Bhagavad Gita, which is Lord Parthasarathi's Upadesam to us, using Arjuna as a Vyaja. So he is only an excuse for us to be blessed with the entire Bhagavad Gita. So here, let's enjoy the first slokam of Bhagavad Gita. He says, Swadharma Jnana Vairagya. Just one slokam is enough to understand the essence of Bhagavad Gita. Swadharma Jnana Vairagya Sadhya Patyeka Gocharaha Narayana Parabrahman Gita Sastram Samiritaha. Here, Uttamur Swami and Sri Madhavakkannan Swami Swami have written extensive commentary on the Gita Sangraha. Adiyan would just touch upon some of the beautiful aspects of this Vyakyanam, especially the first sloka, and within the time limitations and within the limitation of Adiyan's understanding also. So the subject matter of Gita Sastra is Sriman Narayana. Yamunacharya says, the highest Brahman, and he can be attained only with Bhakti Yogam alone. And Bhakti is attainable, Bhakti Yogam is attainable only by performing one's duty, karma, and acquisition of jnana, and by vairagya, the detachment, the dispassion, the absence of worldly desires. So he says, Swadharma Jnana Vairagya Sadhya Bhaktyeka Gocharaha Narayana Parabrahman Gita Sastram Samiritaha. Swadharma, based on our Varnashrama Dharma, the Anushtanam needs to be in accordance with our Varnashrama Dharma. Jnana, with the help of Atma Jnana, knowing fully well about the nature of our Jivatma, understanding the eternal servitude of the Jivatma. Vairagya, the dispassion, the renunciation, the detachment is Vairagya. And with all these three, Sadhyam is possible, attainable, only with Bhakti Yogam. Bhakti Eka Kocharaha. Only with Bhakti Yogam. Kocharaha. He is the Uddesha, he is the Palan of Bhakti Yogam. Parabrahman. Who is the Palan? Parabrahman. Utkrishta Brahman, the Supreme Brahman, the Supreme Deity, the Supreme Lord. And he is none other than Narayana. Narayana Parabrahma Gita Sastre Samiritaha. In this Gita Shastram, Sollapattadu Samiritaha is talked about, is mentioned. And that's all the sloka. Here, so beautifully Acharyas are commented. Even Ramanujacharya's entire Gita Bhashyam is based on Gitartha Sangraham, which again is based on Sriman Nathamuni, Uyyakondar and Manakal Nambi's initiation and Upadesam to Alavandar, Yamunacharya. Here, one needs to say that the Dharma Anushtanam or the Karma Anushtanam, the Karma Yogam and the Jnana Yogam, along with the Vairagyam, the detachment, the dispassion, based on this one can attain through the Bhakti Yogam, the Parabrahma. And who is that Parabrahman? Sriman Narayanan, Sriyapati Sriman Narayanan. And that is what is described in Gita Sastram. That's the first sloka. Because for each of us there is a prescription of the karma. For each of us, for our ashramam, for our birth, there is a karma prescribed for us. So there is no point in just being a managing director in our company and not doing Trikala Sandhya Vandanam. That is what we are born for, the Trikala Sandhya Vandanam. The being in your company, the chief, is a frill, is a feather in the cap, and it is a blessing from Perumal for our Punya Papangal. And hence we need to perform the Karma Anushthanam. And Varnashrama Dharmam, Karma Yogam is Swadharma. So Swadharma means our Varnashrama Dharmam and Karma Yogam. And that needs to be without attachment to the fruits of the action. Karmanyevadikaraste ma paleshu kadachana. So, based on this Karma Yoga, everyone also needs to think of who is the Jivatma, who is the Atma, the Atma Swarupam. The Atma Swarupam can come only by understanding the nature of the Jivatma, and that comes through the Jnana Yoga. And how these two come, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga? By Shravana Mananadigal, by listening to the Krishna Katha, by praising Perumal, by performing the Tiruvaradana, by reading, listening to the Bhagavatas, Acharyas, scholars, Upanyasams. And with that one gets Swajnana. So Swadharma, Swajnana, then Vairagya. And after getting this, after performing this dharma, the karma anushtanam, and after getting this jnanam, one can pray for Aishwaryam, one can pray for the Kaivalyam with his Jivatma Sakshatkaram, and not asking these fruits and getting rid of the worldly desires, not having any attachment to the material pursuits, is Vairagya. And Karma Yogamo, Jnana Yogamo is possible for the Atma Sakshatkaram, for the Atma Jnanam, and these two are the means to realize our Jivatma, to realize ourself. And that can come only from Vairagya. You cannot watch Netflix and also do Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga and say, I want to realize myself. One needs to have a Vairagya. And then we have to contemplate on the Antaratma, the indweller, who is the Paramatma Vishayam. With that we perform the Bhakti Yoga. And having a Vairagyam, then only we can have an uninterrupted contemplation like the flow of oil on the Lord's lotus feet, and would be able to perform the Bhakti Yoga, and would be able to continuously remember, contemplate on Perumal. And that Bhakti Yogam alone is the way one can attain the Paramatma's lotus feet. And of course, the ordinary simple bhakti, just being devoted to him and seeking not him but the worldly desires, not him but the material pursuits, the sensual pursuits. These also Perumal would be able to confer, but that's not Bhakti Yogam. Bhakti Yogam is for attainment and for desirous of the lotus feet of Perumal. And Parabrahman, Perumal, okay, I understand, but who is the Perumal? How do you know that it is Sriman Narayana? That one needs to be crystal clear. Because yatova imani bhutani jayante yena jatana jivanti yat prayam chabitam vishanti tad vijijñāsasva tad brahmeti, that from which all beings are born, that by which when born they live, and that to which all will enter when departing, and that you understand, you get to know, and that is Brahman. So desire to know that, tad vijijñāsasva, tad brahmeti, and that is what is the Brahman. So he is Jagat Karanam, he is Sarveshwaran, he is the only one. Undrum devum ulagum uyirum matrum yadum illa andru devar ulagodu uyir padaithan. When there was nothing, he is the one who created. And நான்முகனை நாராயணன் படைத்தான், நான்முகனும் தான்முகமாய் சங்கரனைத்தான் படைத்தான். So it is he who creates all the devatas, all the stavarams, all the manushyas and all the animals. So deva, tiryam, manushya, stavaram, everything by him. And so ultimately it is Sriyapati Sriman Narayana. He is the same as Brahman of the Upanishads. He is the same. He is the same Paratattvam, supreme being, because Hrishchate Lakshmischa Patniyau. Purusha Sukta says, Purusha Sukta is there in all Vedas, and it is there which is declared that he is the spouse of Sri and he is Sriyapati. He is implying that he is Chaturmukha Brahma's creator. He is Rudra's creator. Rudra, Chaturmukha Brahma, Devendra, they do not enjoy the status of Supreme Brahman. Vishnu is Sriyapati, and Vishnu is inseparably associated with Sri Mahalakshmi. Vishnu is the supreme being who is fully endowed with all Kalyana Gunams. And he has got form, he has got a divine body with divine ornaments, divine ayudams, and he is the most merciful, Paramadayalu, Paramakarunakara, Karunamurti, benevolent. He manifests, he is so merciful, he is Kripalu, he manifests himself in 5 forms: Param, Vyuham, Vibhavam, Hardam, Archai, like that. He takes these forms for our sake. Otherwise he is manifesting, he is dwelling in everything and everyone, inside and outside. And he is the supreme goal, he is the Paramapurushartha, he is the one whom we seek to reach. And for that the only way is to obtain and please him. Only with his being pleased he would be able to confer that. How will he be pleased? Bhaktiyeka gochare, only through Bhakti Yoga, only through devotion. And that is what is described in Gita Shastra. And of course Krishna mentions at the end of the Gita, which is 18.66, 18th chapter, 66th slokam, he says, Sarva dharman parityaja, renounce all these dharmas, karma, jnana, bhakti yoga, and surrender to me alone, and I would absolve you of all papams and grant you moksha. I would, and do not fear anymore. I would do that. He gives an assuaging assurance for us. And hence, this is the entire essence of Gita Shastram, which is so beautifully described by Swami Alavandar. It is our Parama Bhagyam to enjoy at least a small, an iota of the depth of Gitartha Sangraham as well as the Gita Shastram, because even Veda Vyasa mentions that out of all Shastram which he has searched, it is only Keshavan, it is only Narayanan, it is only Hari one needs to contemplate on, he has realized from all Vedam and Vedanta. So it is Bhagavan Krishnan who gives us through the Gita Shastram the Brahman, the Paraman himself, and hence there cannot be a much better Shastram than Gita. Adiyan Kavitarkika Simhaya Kalyana Gunashaline Srimate Venkateshaya Vedanta Gurave Namaha. Bhagyam Adiyan.